Okay, this is homework for Tuesday, January 12th. You should have the linear worksheet, and by the time you're watching this video, that means you have already completed or attempted to complete the worksheet, and you are just here to correct your answers or learn maybe how to do a certain problem. Okay, number one asks you to graph the situation between sweaters sold and hours worked for Fiona. So here's my graph. I have my x-axis, which I knew it was hours based off the table. I always know in a table that this is the x side and this is the y side. Sorry. So the x-axis was hours, the y-axis was sweaters. And I used my numbers here to go off of what to count for my axes. Sorry, that's my dog in the background rolling around on the floor. So for my x-axis, I chose to stick with counting by twos like they did in the table, but I made sure I skipped a line. So I was numbering by 2, but I was actually counting by ones because this would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But to save time, I just wrote down by twos. Now for the y-axis, I didn't go by what the table was counting by because I couldn't start at 10 and then start counting by 4s. That wasn't going to work. So I decided to count by 4s so I could have enough room. So 4, 8, 12, and so on. And then I graphed my points. At 0 hours, 10 sweaters. 2 hours, 14 sweaters, and so on, and put in my line of best fit. Now, problem number 2 asks to write an equation. I could have used the graph to do this by making a slope triangle. Let me change my color real fast. I could make my slope triangle and do rise divided by run to find my slope, and then my y-intercept is right here. But I can also do it from a table by putting in my carets. This is going up by 4 each time, and my x-axis is going up by 2 each time. So I do 4 divided by 2 equals 2, and that is the slope of my equation. And I sure hope you all know where that goes in the equation. And so we're looking at y equals mx plus b when m is our slope. So I know that I have 2, but instead of y, they want us to use h and s. So I know that sweaters was my y side and hours is my x side, which means I'm going to do s equals, because instead of y, 2h plus, and then I go up to my table to find my y-intercept, which is at 0. When the x is 0, what is y, which is 10. So plus 10, that's my equation. Now I'm going to know that you watched the video if you have your equation labeled. So I want each part labeled according to the situation. So my my y or s is the same as sweaters sold. Now the 2 is the slope, or the constant rate of change, or the m, which according to the situation means 2 sweaters per hour. Now the h is number of hours. And my 10 is my y-intercept, but according to the situation it means at 0 hours she sold 10 sweaters. I'm not exactly sure how that could work because she didn't sell any sweaters yet. Maybe my theory is that a previous worker had already sold 10 sweaters and then she came in and sold 2 sweaters per hour. I'm not really sure. That's kind of interesting. Okay, number 3 asks, what is the slope of your situation? According to my equation, it is 2. And it's not 2h, it's just 2. And then what does it mean? It means she sells 2. Fiona sells 2 sweaters per hour. Keyword is per. Whenever we explain these, we always want to use Some key vocabulary, and this one is per. Now what is the y-intercept in your equation? It was 10. And what does it mean? It means at 0 hours she sold 10 sweaters. Somehow magically after working 0 hours she's already sold 10 sweaters. Okay, number 7 says use the equation to show how many sweaters will have been sold after 10 hours. So I like to write down my equation. S equals 2h plus 10. Now they're giving me hours, and hours is h. So I'm going to take out the h and replace it with 10 using parentheses. So now I have S equals 2 times 10 plus 10. 2 times 10 is 20. Plus 10, which means S equals 30. So it would take her after 10 hours she would sell 30 sweaters. Okay, number 8 says use the equation to show how many hours it will take Fiona to sell 74 sweaters. So I have my general equation, and it's giving me sweaters. 74, which is the S, so I'm going to replace S with 74. And I'm solving for hours, solving for H. So I'm going to subtract 10 on both sides to get H by itself. 74 minus 10 is 64 equals 2H. Now I want to get H by itself, so I'm going to divide by 2 on both sides. This cross out. 64 divided by 2 is 32 equals H. And I'm going to label it hours. So in 32 hours she would sell 74 sweaters. Okay, again, I would know that you watched this video if you have all the answers correct and you have this equation labeled with all the parts like I do. Okay, I will see you tomorrow.